Overview of New Zealand's border until May 2022. Today's video update brings you the latest border updates of New Zealand. The New Zealand government and Immigration New Zealand have declared further statements concerning the current border setting and immigration policy of New Zealand. New Zealand has defined travellers who are eligible. According to New Zealand's immigration, travellers who are eligible to travel to New Zealand includes the following: citizens of New Zealand, permanent residents or resident visa holders of New Zealand, Australian citizens or permanent residence visa holders, where New Zealand is the principal place of established residence, holders of a critical purpose visa with a border exception, or partners, dependent children, or parents of a dependent child who is a citizen of New Zealand, a resident of New Zealand, or one of the individuals mentioned earlier. Changes to managed isolation and quarantine conditions and entry dates. The government have shared the following announcements. The earlier declared date of the 17th of January 2022 to permit self-isolation by qualified travellers travelling from Australia has been postponed to the end of February 2022. Qualified visitors travelling to New Zealand will require a negative COVID-19 test from the local health authority 48 hours prior to the first international flight. Eligible travellers will require managed isolation and quarantine for 10 days upon arrival in New Zealand. Since the date to allow for self-isolation by eligible travellers travelling from Australia has been postponed to the end of February 2022, it is to be expected that the entry date to permit for self-isolation, suitable for travellers from other countries, will also be postponed until at least the end of February 2022. A piece of great news for travellers is that New Zealand has removed all countries from the very high-risk country list. Let's now take a look at the authorised border exception request changes for workers. The government has declared a new border class exception for the technology sector to allow 600 specialist tech workers, their partners, and dependent children to travel to New Zealand. The government have restored the approved worker border exceptions for the following: 40 shearers, 200 rural contractors, salaried a minimum of $27 an hour, 615 deep-sea fishing crew to arrive in September and October 2022, 550 cargo crew servicing the Pacific to carry the controlled isolation in New Zealand, 30 travellers per month, nominated by the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade to transit New Zealand en route to Australia. According to the information that has been unveiled, New Zealand is managing a cautious strategy to keep the Omicron variant out of New Zealand. It wouldn't be surprising if additional delays were enforced unless there is a further considerable shortening of the duration between the second and third or booster dose of vaccine in New Zealand. It still seems that the current border setting in effect will persist in remaining applicable until the 1st of May 2022. Today's video update ends here. If you found this update helpful, leave a comment below and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.